Go down. Get somebody. Go down. Get somebody. Go down.
Welcome to another Doggone Podcast here at the CEC Studios. I'm your host, Mike the Mad Dog. This episode is sponsored by our friends at Wolfman Muffler. And my guest on this episode is a former UGA quarterback. And when he graduated from the University of Georgia, he was the NCAA's winningest all-time SEC champion. How are you, sir? This is David Greene. How are you?
Mike, doing well, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Listen, a couple of nights ago during the Georgia-Florida game, Kirby mentioned that the team, he gave them the nickname Cardiac Kids, and that just went everywhere. Now, this actually reminds me a little bit of how it was when you actually played, because some of these games are coming down to the wire, and you played in some of the same places that Gunner's playing right now, the Neyland Stadium, Jordan Hare. Those places are hard to win in, and Gunner seems to be doing it. So what does it take when you're under center and the game's on the line? What does it take for you to slow the game down and actually pull out the win?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Mike. I've talked to a lot of kids through the years, and I sit and watch the games now, and I get way more nervous watching the games now than I did when I was playing. But a lot of it was the difference because the mental side of the game and the makeup you got to have when you're playing, you really got to treat. So if you play, there's 180 plays in a football game, you got to put all your focus and energy into each play. And so whether I've thrown a touchdown or an interception, say the last series or incompletion or whatever happened, you got to turn the page on that. And so you got to put all your focus on this play. And I think the key is, especially at quarterback, you just got to try to win each individual play, put each effort, and then just stack those up. And at the end of the game, then you can kind of zoom out a little bit and look at the entire thing and go, holy cow, what just happened? And I know, like, when we beat Tennessee in 2001, the Hobnail boot game.
Yes.
I remember Mike getting on the bus and kind of just almost thinking like, what just happened? But the key is as a player, you can't allow yourself to zoom out and think of the big picture and what all's happening. You can't think, oh man, I had a great first half or I'm doing great. You got to stay locked in and compete. And that's the one thing, Gunner and this entire team's done a good job of doing. They don't seem to get too high or too low. They go out there and they battle the next rep and then let the chips fall where they may. But they've done a good job of showing some toughness. There's no question there.
Oh, absolutely. I think about some of the times when I watched you play, and I say this a lot of times. There's a lot of quarterbacks that don't have good touch on the ball. I thought you had some of the best touches when the way you were able just to kind of almost, it looked like it was almost floating over, but it landed perfectly. And a lot of quarterbacks rely on their strong arm, but there's something to be said about a quarterback that has good touch on the ball. I thought you were one of the best at it.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, a lot of it was, one, my arm wasn't all that crazy strong. But number two, I also knew, like, if you throw a deep ball and the guy's wide open, if you put a little bit more air under it, it gives the receiver time he can adjust. If you throw an absolute missile 45 yards down the field, you got to be dead on accurate or else it's not going to be completed, right? And the name of the game is you're trying to move the sticks and you're trying to move the ball down the field. And so sometimes if a guy's wide open, it's not necessary, in my opinion, to throw a rifle shot. Put a little more air. You don't have to be quite as dead on accurate. It's a little bit easier for the receiver as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. What kind of relationship or trust do you have to have with that receiver? Is it just somebody that you feel like no matter where I put the ball, he's going to come down with it? I mean, what's the relationship have to be like between you and the receiver?
Yeah, well, it's got to be as strong as can be, because here's the deal. People don't think about this, but we're throwing to windows. We're not throwing to where the guy's at. We're throwing to where he's going, right? And so a lot of times if you look at it from a windows, if, as a guy's running through his route this way, there may be a defender right here, but I got to throw it over there, right? Because I got to anticipate he's running full speed, and I got to throw it on the other side of this defender, knowing that he's going to get there. And it was funny. I saw a highlight. I kind of forgotten about the play. 2004, when we beat Florida, late in the game, we really needed a touchdown. coach called this like deep slant, almost like a skinny post to Fred Gibson. And they were playing like a type of quarters type coverage, meaning you got, two safeties got a quarter field, the corners got a quarter as well. And when Fred ran the route, I really had to trust the fact because I'm throwing a ball literally right at the strong safety. And I'm having to trust the fact that Fred's going to undercut it because he's tall. Don't go behind that strong safety or it's going to be, he's really setting me up for an interception at that point. So I'm literally, as I'm dropping back, I see it and I'm throwing the ball literally dead at the strong safety, knowing that Fred's going to come underneath it and get it score. So yeah, when you talk about the trust, it's everything because I got to get back there and absolutely cut it loose with no hesitation, knowing my guy's going to do what he's supposed to do.
Well, that's what happens a lot of times. Like you see where the ball falls and there's nobody there, and everybody's like, "Who was he throwing to?" It's because did he not run the route right, or was that the situation? Because surely the quarterback's just not throwing it to nobody. He's not throwing it away. It had to fall to somebody. Somebody wasn't on the same page, and somebody wasn't running the route right.
That's right. And a lot of times, what we do is there's built-in adjustments in routes. So a lot of times, like if you want to run a hitch, a 5-yard hitch, well, it's great when the corner's way off. It's not good when it's press man. And of course, your offense coordinator, you don't know exactly what you're about to get, right? You're kind of guessing. So what you do in order to be right, you build in side adjustments. So if you got a 5-yard hitch, but you got press man coverage, well, that converts now to a fade. And what happens is sometimes you get on the wrong page because you see press man, you're like, okay, it converts to fade. And then it snaps the ball, the corner bails. Quarterback's throwing a fade, but the guy's running a hitch. You know what I mean? So that's a lot. The key is being on the same page. But with the offense is you build in a lot of adjustments that everyone has to make on the fly because you don't exactly know what's about to happen, how the defense is going to treat it. So every now and then you'll get some plays like that, and everybody's scratching their head, but it's certainly some kind of miscommunication.
Well, you mentioned offensive coordinators. I mean, you and I talked earlier. I mean, Bobo's catching a lot of flack, and and for some reason he always has. I don't necessarily know why. I mean, can you take me into what your impression is, or what you think about Mike Bobo?
Well, I love Bobo. Look, Bobo was coaching when I was there, and year in and year out. He's put up some big numbers. And I tell you, last year was probably the toughest years of all because we didn't really have playmakers last year. And so I tell you what's been fun this year is seeing, we were so used to seeing Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers running, and it was fun, right? It was fun to watch. And last year, we just had no one who kind of took on that role. And the offense last year, obviously, it's amazing we did as well as we did with what we had. I thought last year was one of Kirby's best coaching jobs. I think Mike Bobo does a fantastic job calling it offense. And if you look at stats and statistics and how well we've done as an offense, I mean, we're right up there with some of the best out there. So I mean, he does a great job. And look, when you're a program that's expected to play for national championships year in and year out, you're going to have a couple of bad plays here or there. That's going to happen. And it gets magnified, though, in tight games and when it's late, fourth quarter type situations. But there's not an offensive coordinator out there that doesn't end the game and go, you know what, I wish I'd have done something a little bit different, here and there. And here lately, he's called just about perfect games a lot. I mean, Ole Miss, I was actually at the game. That was about as perfect as called and executed game that I'd seen in a long time, especially at the college level.
Yeah, I thought it was dead, especially, the fact they were down by 9, didn't let it phase them. Gunner figures out a way, like you said, slow everything down, take a deep breath, and like you said, do not overthink it. Just execute what you're hearing and go on and move on from there. And again, when that happens, he doesn't seem like he overthinks anything. He just seems like, and he just lets the game just develop in front of him, and he is so spectacular to watch. And I like the fact that he breaks out with his legs. I know that's dangerous sometimes, like when he gets hit, but when you got an extra pair of legs like that, and he's able to scramble and throw on the run. I mean, it's impressive to watch him do that.
Well, I think what the Georgia fans love about Gunner, it's his toughness. he's an easy kid to cheer for, right? I mean, Gunner represents a lot of people in the stands.
Yeah.
Blue collar, tough, love the program, not here just for the money, not here for fame. Gunner, it's very apparent he's there to play ball and he wants to win at Georgia. And I think, look, who doesn't want to get behind that? And I read a quote I heard him say, I don't know if it was a week or two ago, I thought was really pretty awesome. And he's such a mild-mannered kid anyway. He's super nice and humble. He said something along the lines, they're talking about him getting hit so much. And he's got, the hit he took in the SEC championship last year might have been the hardest hit I'd ever seen anyone take at any level. But he made a comment. He goes, I always get up so quick because my dad's always told me you're not going to help the team a whole lot on the ground. And I thought, that's pretty awesome. Now, he's a tough kid, man. He's a tough one, and I think he represents the program and the kind of culture Kirby's been trying to build for years. I think he fits in perfect with it.
Yeah, there was a story like you were talking about, like when he was in high school, he got hit so hard that he had this nosebleed, and he kept wanting to go back in. And they said, "We can't put you back in because your nose is pouring blood." And he was like, "I don't care what you got to do, figure out some way to stop it, but I want to go back in." And he finished the game. And against medical advice, he wanted to get back in. He has that desire, like you said. He has that much love for the game, and I think he loves the University of Georgia. Like you said, he represents everything that we all love. So it's hard not to get behind a kid who loves the sport and the university that much.
And he doesn't give up. I think the one thing we all feel at this point is if it's a close game, he's going to find a way. He's going to find a way to pull it out. And if he doesn't, it ain't going to be from a lack of trying or a lack of caring. He's going to give you everything he got. And at the end of the day, man, that's all you can ask for these kids, right?
Yeah.
Give me all you got. And that way, if somebody's going to beat it, by God, they'd have to earn it. And if you look at Alabama, there were certainly situations, we missed on. But I will tell you, I was at that game and having played quarterback, that Ty Simpson is a difference maker. I think he's the best. I think he's the best player in college football right now. And I didn't go back and watch the film on the Georgia-Alabama game. But part of the reason we couldn't get him off the field is because the kid, Ty Simpson, just about played perfect.
Yeah.
You get man coverage. There's really no good defense for the perfect ball. And he kept throwing the perfect ball third down after third down. And he's putting on the money, and, they're moving the chains. And so, anyway, it's I'm impressed with this team. This team's been fun to watch. I really, really enjoyed the defense this week as well. I tell you, C.J. Allen at linebacker this week, buddy, he was all over the place. I'm a big C.J. Allen fan. I love his game. Look, anybody that's number 3 at linebacker at Georgia, there's high expectations if you're going to put that jersey on at linebacker.
Yes, that's true.
And I tell you, he lived up to it this week for sure because he made some big-time plays down the stretch.
Speaking of, I want to talk about a former quarterback, Carson Beck. Now, I know he transferred to Miami, but he's having issues down there. And Miami people in the beginning of the season were, really beating their chest. We got Carson Beck. He's going to do so much better down here. It was because of Bobo he was bad at Georgia. It was because, that was a Georgia problem. It's not a Miami problem. Well, now, he's almost like a fair weather fan. When everything's great, everything's great. But it seems like, when the chips are down, he doesn't slow down the game. I don't know if he gets flustered, he panics. I don't know what happens. But you saw what happened. He threw like 4 interceptions one game. They lost another game. And they've lost 2 games now. And it seems like during the press, it's always somebody else's fault. And to me, I don't know if that was the problem with the team last year, but there was a reason why when Gunner went in the SEC championship game, the whole locker room just erupted. Everybody was wanting to get behind Gunner, and I think it's because they knew he had a lot of heart. And I'm not saying anything bad about Beck, but Beck just doesn't seem to have that edge that Gunner seems to have when it comes to having heart, and it makes the team want to play for you more if they believe that you believe in them just as much as they believe in you.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think they're almost polar opposites when it comes to their body language and leadership. Look, I've met both of them. I know Gunner probably a little bit better than I know Carson, but watching Carson play, his arm talent is elite. There's no question about it. His release is amazing, and he can throw it, spin it anywhere. Where Carson, and I think a lot of players don't realize this when they're playing, his body language is not good at times. For me, and I'm just sitting in the stands reading his body language. His body language, even when he's playing well, isn't very good to me. It looks like very casual, very a little too relaxed for the environment, and just not enough juice. You know what I mean? Where you look, Gunner gets fired up, gets a little more excited. Carson he may throw an interception and kind of roll his eyes, and you're just like, well, that's not really what we're looking for. A little bit more dog in you. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And that's something certainly Gunner brings. And people obviously love to see that and rally around it. That's just one thing. Throwing the football is not Carson's problem, but people got to realize there's a lot more to playing quarterback than just throwing pretty spirals and tight windows. There's the leadership aspect, the belief aspect. There's a lot of other elements to that position that most people don't think about. Because when people think about quarterback, they just think, how well do you throw the football? But that's just one component of the overall.
Yeah. So, I mean, what does it take, as far as a leader? I mean, do you do things with the team outside of the game as well? I mean, what is it that you can do to actually bring the team together and be a leader, not just on the field, but off the field as well?
You know what? There's not one way. I would say there's not a manual for it. I think the number one thing is to be authentic, be yourself. You got to be one that's going to be accountable. You're going to be steady. Your teammates got to know that you care, that it means a lot to you. And a lot of times you start to earn that leadership by just by just example, by people watching what you do, and you gain confidence by them by making big plays down the stretch. I mean, a lot of these teams and a lot of your teammates, that's how it all takes place. Is you got to go out there and just kind of keep your head down and grind. I remember my freshman year when I started, I had a very business-like mentality. I wasn't the guy that could step in the huddle, and go, hey, we got to do this and that. Well, these other guys have started. They've played Tennessee or Florida 3 more times. This is my first time playing them. My role at that time as a freshman is to just shut up, play football, and execute at a high level, and do what's best for the team. And then your role as you get a little bit older sometimes changes, where you may have to be a little bit more vocal at times when you just got to kind of feel it. But I think the real key is being authentic and doing it your own way, in your own style, and what's natural to you, and not trying to be somebody you're not.
Yeah, speaking of somebody you're not, I mean, there was a lot of talk about Arch Manning before the season started, and he has, up until this last Vandy game, which I thought he looked way better. He looked like, to me, as advertised, what he was supposed to look like. I don't know if he just had a good game or what, but Arch Manning seems to be coming into his own. Of course, it's right before Georgia plays him. That's awesome that he's getting it together. I was hoping that he wouldn't. But, I mean, what can you say about, like all the hype? When there's hype on a quarterback, does that play into his mind, or is it just that, was it just his last name, or is it just, is it too big of the moment for him?
No, I don't think it was too big of a moment for him. I think it's a little unfair. He got labeled early on as they thought he would be the next big coming, and he was just the guy. And there was a lot of overhype. He didn't bring it on himself. It's no fault of his own. Certainly, with his last name being Manning, caused a lot of that attention. There's no question. He seems like a really good kid, and he struggled early on. I'm really glad, and I think it shows a lot about his toughness, the way he's kind of battled through this. Because he had mentioned he was playing tight. He just was trying not to make mistakes in his head too much. And he was actually very open and honest about it, which I think shows a lot of maturity for a young guy. But sometimes guys get this label, and I'll give you another one here at Georgia. Remember when Jacob Eason was here?
Yes.
When he was coming, there was so much hype around Eason. I remember thinking, there is no way this is going to go anywhere but down. There was such a high bar set on what the expectations were for him. And if you play quarterback, you realize there's a lot of other factors around you that are going to determine your success. Obviously, you need a good offensive line, you need a great running back, and you need receivers that can go make plays. And then you got it. Then you yourself have to play at a high level. And so a lot of times when these guys haven't played and everybody thinks, they're in a Heisman Trophy race before they've taken a snap, it's going nowhere but down.
Yeah, I mean, and then Jake Fromm comes in there, just nobody even anticipated it, and just executed exactly the way. I mean, I remember that game when Eason went down. Fromm came in, didn't think about anything, just started making the plays, and the rest is history. I knew after that, I was like, it's Fromm's job now. Like he's just got it, and everybody wanted to play for him. He represented kind of like what Gunner's doing now. Everybody liked him. They wanted to play for him, and. Yeah. It's the same situation. You got to have that quarterback that sets his ego aside and realizes that this is a team sport. Even though I'm the focus, I'm supposed to be the leader on the field, but you got to have somebody that everybody wants to play for. I mean, not that they're just going to blatantly let you get sacked, but I mean nobody really wants to take that extra yard and everything for somebody who just doesn't seem to care about the other players around them.
No doubt. Yeah, when Fromm stepped in, it was obvious from the beginning. This kid was like a born winner.
Yes.
And it, when Fromm stepped in, it clearly, you could tell this kid believed that he could win. He knew he could do it. And he just kind of reeked confidence. I remember that spring game. My wife and I were there with our kids. She even said, she's like, who is this kid? Like, this kid can ball. And she didn't even know who Fromm was at the time because he was just a freshman. But even just passing the eyeball test from someone, who's not really that involved with it, good things happened when he stepped in. And, Fromm's just a winner. And he kind of showed it all the way through. And look, I'm a little partial to Fromm too. He's like a little brother to me. We work together. So I'm obviously a big Fromm fan.
I always told myself if I ever got an opportunity to talk to you, I'd ask you this question. If they had NIL back then, and if it was an opportunity, do you think Shockley would have waited like he did to play in 2005, or do you think he would have transferred out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. That was, I'll tell you this. That was a very difficult time for both of us. And, extremely fortunate it worked out the way it did, where we had as much success as we did in a really tough situation. And I'll tell you, it would have been very easy for the two of us to not like each other. But I will tell you, he's one of my favorite people on earth. There's not many people that I respect more than Shock. I mean, the way he always conducted himself, just who he is as a person. It would sound weird to say, but there's not a bigger fan of just who he is as a man than me. We went through it, and we were in the trenches together. And it wasn't an ideal situation at all for either one of us, because here's the other thing, Mike, we had to endure that for a long time. It's one thing to kind of go through a quarterback battle for a year. We went through it for years, right? And so it was, anyway, we made the best of it. I have no idea how the NIL, shoot, it would have been nice to get a little cut of all the 14 jerseys that were coming out of that bookstore back in the day. But maybe the good Lord didn't need it.
I actually have one of those. I think during that year I got a 47, a 14, and I got a 13 last Christmas because Bennett won back to back. But I have enough of those jerseys at home. I can pick whichever one I want to wear. And I mean, how awesome is it now that Gunner's wearing your number?
Well, see, I say it's my number, and then Mike Bobo, he complains and says it's his number.
Oh yeah, Bobo did have it.
They're all right, yeah. So 14 is actually a really good Georgia quarterback number. We've had some good. We've had a lot of good Georgia quarterbacks just through the years in general. I will tell you what's fun. It is a neat little fraternity amongst quarterbacks. I mean, we'll still group text with a lot of the guys over the last 15, 20 years. It's a unique fraternity. There's only so many people that kind of understand what it's like and what you go through. And it's been fun. And I think we all got a lot of pride with it as well, because when you're the quarterback at Georgia, number one, you got to be all in. but we've been fortunate at Georgia. The quarterbacks that have been here have had a very business-like mindset about it, and you can tell that they were all in and they wanted to be the quarterback at Georgia. It wasn't too big for them. They accepted the role, believed they could do it, and most of us had some pretty good outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. That 2005 season when Shockley started, I mean, I had my reservations about it, but then he played Boise State and he absolutely annihilated him in that opener. And I was a fan of his. I mean, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks. And only really got to play one season.
Yeah,
I thought he was fantastic. And you know what? It's interesting because if for some crazy reason, they had to put him in, I mean, it was completely different. Like he could run, he could use his legs. It was completely different from setting up the way you did.
Sure. No, it was. I think we both saw the value in the other one and what they brought. Obviously, very different style of play. He was more the pocket passer. I was more the scrambler, right, Mike?
Yes. There were times I would watch. Oh man, I got to tell you, David. There was times I was watch and I'd be like, "Please, please make the play." But you were scrambling all over the place, and I was like, and every time you'd escape, I'd be rooting for you. I mean, I got to tell you, everybody sees me, on the podcast, and I'm kind of, serious or whatever. But when I'm watching a game, I'm a completely different person. I'm pacing like I'm on the sideline. It's insane. And there were many times when I watched you play that I was screaming, "Please make the play." Every time you let go of the ball, it was almost like you'd hold your breath. Just please come down with it. I really, it just. I mean, but the hobnail boot. I got to tell you, that I mean, there's a friend of mine who he had to leave work, and he told me that he said he had to listen to it. Unfortunately, he couldn't watch the game like we were all watching it. And he said, "I'll tell you, when Munson made that call, I was punching the roof of my truck coming home listening to it, going, I can't believe we won." He was so happy. And we have some friends who are Tennessee fans. We watched the game with them, the Georgia Tennessee game. Now with the 9-game season, it's not going to be every year like it used to be. But we'd watch it, and I tell them all the time, I was like, I don't know why we watch this game. Somebody's going to be mad at the end of this game.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah. You just hope it's them, not you, right?
Oh, I know. Well, with the past 9 years, it has been us. So, I mean, but this year was actually a little bit of a nail biter. I thought they had us this year. But like I said, Gunner slowed the game down, managed to, and that throw, that fourth down throw he made to Humphreys.
Yeah.
I could not. I mean, that if he doesn't make another pass, that one, I'll always remember that one.
That slot fade to Humphreys, I mean, that is not a very high percentage pass. I mean, I'd have to go back and look. If I were guessing, I don't know if the play was originally supposed to go to Branch, but he saw it. And look, you got it. I mean, I guess they recognized it was man coverage. I'm thinking it was man. But you run an inside slot fade. I mean, Humphreys has got to step on toes, try to get a little separation. And there's a million ways to miss that throw. I mean, the timing and everything had to be perfect. And clearly they've repped that a lot because, I mean, the timing, the way he dropped it in the bucket, and obviously Humphreys making a great play just over the shoulder like that, staying in bounds. It was clutch. Being clutch. I mean, you know something about that. I mean, you've been a great clutch quarterback as well. Listen, I want to thank you for coming on here today. I've had an absolute blast talking to you. Yeah, Mike, I did too, buddy. Hey, I wish you all the best of luck. Tell my boy Hap Hines hello. I see you got Bo Jackson, you got Hap Hines back there. Hey, I would take Bo. I would take Hap any day of the year over Bo Jackson.
Well, I'll make sure to tell him you said that. I'll make sure to tell him that's exactly what you said. Hap's nice enough to let us have his jersey in here, and I appreciate it. I keep telling him, I said, when are you going to sign it? And he was like, nobody cares about my signature, man.
Hey. Yes, they do. I used to watch Hap play now. I was getting recruited about that time Hap was kicking field goals. So.
Oh, no. I mean, I appreciate a good field goal kicker.
Yeah, you daggum right. When you're down by 2, you absolutely love a good field goal.
You got to put him in range and let him do his job. I mean, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, man. Mike, appreciate you, buddy. Good luck with everything. Go Dogs.
I appreciate it. And that is it for this episode. We'd like to thank Wolfman Muffler for sponsoring. And this has been the episode of another Doggone Podcast. And doggone it, I'm out.